Yeah, Joe.
Have I done that many? I was trying to think about this because everyone says I mean, I've done a couple. Um, I mean, I'm not particularly drawn to them. I could be drawn to any genre as long as, or any kind of script as long as it's exciting and has got people that make you feel alive and you want to work with.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Movie Podcast. My name is Shahbaz, and of course, I'm joined by, what can I call you? What can I call you today that is something, my squire? No, my fellow knight. My fellow knight in shining armor without a beard. Because you know what, man? I feel like knights had really cool beards, but you just lost yours. You're back to a squire now. That was so quick. You went squire,
Listen,
knight, squire, so quick. Daniel, how you doing?
I'm actually royalty. I'm doing well, Shay.
You're royalty?
And royalty. It is to the decree of all in this land, in the land of the movie podcast, that no beards shall be worn on the face or on the back. That is the law of the land.
Then
I
why
just
are
want
your
you to remember
eyebrows
that.
wearing two giant beards today?
Well, that's where I'm allowed to have hair, so that's where I'm going to show it off.
How are you doing today, Daniel?
I'm doing well, man. Honestly, we've been having such a great time here on the show. And I'm just having the time of my life, and it means the world to be doing this with you right now. Anthony, I think we left him in the time machine back in the medieval times, but maybe he'll change something. Maybe we'll come back and it'll be like Grand Emperor Anthony or something like that.
Well, you see,
Who
he's
knows?
always living in the future, right? So he can't go back to the
Right.
past. That's the problem. And you and I, we're so fluid. We can go back in the past, in the present, in the future.
Right.
We go anywhere we want.
We're adaptable. We'll
Yes.
go wherever time needs us. Again, it sounds like we're pitching like some type of Back to the Future spin-off series. Hey, if you're listening to this, Amblin, we're available.
We're available for
Hello.
whatever, but we will never remake Back to the Future. We understand how important that is.
No.
Don't worry.
We will never touch it, but we will mess with other stuff within it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
Maybe?
why not?
We'll see.
We'll make it.
We'll
We'll
see.
do something.
Yeah. Shay, how are you doing though?
I'm doing great. We're having a good time. This is kind of that. Okay. Look, I'll be honest. Spooky season for me is a very interesting time of the year because it's my birthday month. It's also like the birthday month of
It's
like
true.
500 people in my family. So it's a very, very busy month. And a lot of my friends are born this month as well. Minus you. You weren't born this month, though. That's okay.
I wasn't.
No,
You're right.
but
I wasn't.
Anthony was also born this month, and so, or sorry, when I'm speaking of this month, I mean October. I know this episode might be coming out in September, October. I don't know, but anyways, the point is, I'm talking about October. I'm talking about spooky season, and I'm talking about getting ready for Halloween. And
Yeah.
I think for like the last maybe like 5-ish years, I wasn't too affected by spooky season. Like I didn't care for it. Like not that like I was like against it. I just like it come and
you
go.
weren't too affected by it. Like it didn't affect you.
No.
Like or you weren't like too interested in it.
I guess
or
I
you're
wasn't
like
too
ask your
interested in
doctor
it.
if spooky season is right for you type of thing.
Maybe that one, but I just wasn't too interested in
Right.
it. But this year, for some
Okay.
reason, I'm like, man, I'm gonna watch a lot of horror movies. I'm gonna be ready
Yeah.
for Halloween. Like, not saying I'm gonna like decorate my house or anything like that, but I'm going.
Why not though?
I
Why limit yourself?
I'm not a decorator. I'm not a man of decorating.
Not with that attitude.
No,
you're
definitely
I'll be
not.
honest
No,
with you.
and it's the attitude that stops me. To be honest with you,
I think the attitude is everything. When it
attitude
comes
is
to
everything.
spooky
And guess
season.
what? I don't have the attitude for it.
You don't have the
No,
attitude.
but
no, I'm with you.
But I'm excited for
I'm with you, and
movies.
I think, and that's the thing, and I think it's because this year has been such a standout year for horror films for us,
Mhm.
where I now could watch all of these films from earlier in the year in this time and just enjoy it. The new Scream, X, Pearl. There's so many for that released this year that I'm like, again, me and you, I know aren't the biggest horror people in the world,
But that's changing
but
now.
being able to see like this, it's changing. I think we're going full horror heads. I think
We've watched a
is
lot
that
of
the
horror
term that they
movies.
use?
I believe they're called scream heads or corpses. Screamers.
Corpses.
Yeah, corpses. We're going full corpse.
There's a lot. Bodies is another great one from this year that we really love.
And I'm sure we're gonna go watch
I-
Smile.
Smile. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness has
Yeah.
a lot of horror elements. Scariest movie of the year, though. You ready for it? Marcel the Shell with Shoes on.
Absolutely
Absolutely
terrifying. Terrifying how
Terrifying
cute
film.
he was. Or
It's
she
that
was.
true, and also what's under the shoes?
Only fear.
Dean Fleischer Camp. Let us know
Only
what's
fear.
under the shoes.
Yeah, I mean, again,
fear.
if you go back and listen to our interview with Dean Fletcher Cam, he will mention that eventually Marcel might upgrade to some Yeezys. So we're getting ready for that as well.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, but speaking of shoes, they probably wore some sandals or some really crappy shoes back in the medieval ages, because today we're talking to some really cool people, some really, really, really cool people. And I'll be honest, I never in my life thought I'd get a chance to speak to one of them, because I always watched him when I was younger, or not younger, well, I guess younger, on Sherlock.
Technically, yes.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, he's so cool, and I'll never get a chance to speak to him. I do that with everybody, though.
Is that what you thought?
I do that with everybody.
Whenever you watch a movie,
I'll
he's
never
so
talk to
cool.
them.
I'll never know him.
I'll never see them. I'll never talk to them. I always do it with every single person I ever see on TV.
Right.
But here we are. We got a chance to speak to them, and they were really awesome. We got a chance to talk to Andrew Scott and Joe Alwyn, who are going to be in Called Birdy, which will be on Prime Video October 7th. So celebrate the day after my birthday by watching Called Birdy on Prime Video.
Yeah,
this movie is
that's a great way to celebrate.
100%. Movie is directed by Lena Dunham, and it's a really fun film. We're gonna definitely get into our thoughts about the movie after we come back from the interviews. But Daniel, what are your thoughts on the interviews? How do you think they went?
I think they went great. Again, like you, Shay, anytime we get the chance to talk to anybody, it's a huge honor for us. And having Andrew and Joe, yes, we're on first name basis with them now.
I just call him AJ. I'll be.
AJ. It's like Josh Duhamel calling Anthony and I Danthony.
Yeah, exactly.
We're on first name basis with them now. I think we're pretty much best friends. No, they're so funny. They're very charismatic, and I think Andrew, especially, who obviously I know from Sherlock as well, but also from Fleabag. He is just both him and Joe are just so charming. And being able to talk to both of them, and it was like, thank God I had you there, because I felt like you and I had to hold our ground in the terms of charmingness.
Yes,
I'm like, okay,
we did.
Shay and I are funny and charming. You guys are just very good looking and charming.
Yeah, they're British charming.
We had to balance,
Yeah. It also didn't help that we were doing this interview super early in the morning, some inside baseball for you.
Was.
But I mean, Daniel, you get up, I don't think you even sleep, to be honest with you. No. And I usually get up at 9, 10 in the morning, which is 10 o'clock is late for people, but I get that. But I'll get up at 9 a.m., 8 a.m. some days. But Daniel, you're up at 4 a.m. I think getting the chickens ready for the yard, or who knows what you're doing.
I mean, I'm embracing spooky season. I'm up already because I'm living the vampire life.
You're the living dead, I believe is what they call it.
I'm the living dead. But yeah, so I don't know if, again, going into some more inside baseball, Shay, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but different countries in the world have different time zones.
This is news to me, I'll be honest with you, brother.
We were in Toronto talking to Andrew and Joe, again, first name basis.
A&J.
And they were in the United Kingdom. Mm-hmm. So it is later on in the day. No spoilers for what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They knew.
They didn't want to tell us what's going to happen in the rest of the day. So we're like, sounds good, guys. Don't worry. But no, they were absolutely awesome. And I don't want to take up too much time. But if you want to know all about the movie podcast, our show notes are down below. Links for everything is down below. Our username for everything is the movie podcast. You can find us literally anywhere in the world. We are there. We're in places that you didn't even think. You know that box in your attic that you haven't opened in a long time? The movie podcast is in there. You probably should check it out. I'll be honest with you.
You should. There's also probably a pendant that's broken. Mm-hmm. And you probably have a twin out there that you'll be able to reconnect it with it that your family didn't tell you about.
There you go. That is beside our show. Exactly right. No, you nailed it, man. Yeah. Absolutely nailed it. Again, this movie is called Called Birdy, and we had a chance to speak with Andrew Scott and Joe Alwyn. Let's get to that interview now.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, Joe. My name's Daniel.
And my name's Shahbaz.
Hey guys, how's it going?
How's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you.
That's good. We're honored to have you both here. Congratulations on the film and the premiere last night. Did you both get to party hard?
No. Not really.
It's an early day for us.
It was lame partying.
Lame party. Oh no.
Yeah.
We're so happy to have you here on the movie podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. We're also from Toronto, and I know you guys were just here for TIFF. What was the best part of the festival for you both?
Oh, wow. The festival was really cool. I guess the best part of it was we were in a big 1,500 seater. I can't remember the name of the
Prince of George.
Prince of Wales.
Prince of Wales.
Prince of Wales, yeah.
George.
Prince George. Obsessed with your own character. And there were 1,500 people there watching it. And, it's a big, laugh out loud comedy, hopefully. But you don't know if it's a laugh out loud comedy until you hear people actually laughing out loud. So it was very nice to hear that they did. And that's what you wanted, kind of what I think everybody's missed over the past couple of years. So getting everybody together and cinema goers and having a sort of festival atmosphere, and Toronto's the sort of the epitome of a great film festival.
Yeah, it's such a great. We didn't get much time to explore the city, but it seems like such a cool place as well.
Yeah,
I really liked
great people.
Yeah.
Definitely. Did you guys get to have any good food while you're in the city, at least?
Oh, we just kind of went around to the places to eat where we were told to eat. They were very good.
We have no autonomy in Canada. We have no autonomy.
It was fun. It was very fun. And being in that cinema with 1,500 people was amazing. You feel like certain films. I mean, all films you could watch by yourself or you could watch with an audience, but particularly something like that, it's so nice to kind of
comedy,
do it as a kind of communal experience. And feel people feeding off each other is really lovely.
Andrew, for yourself, Birdy drove Lord Rollo absolutely crazy throughout the film. Now we're hoping, what was it like working with Bella Ramsey? Was it a lot less stressful of an experience?
Absolutely, it was. She's genuinely brilliant. I really can't say it enough. All our scenes we have to. It was kind of, in some ways, you have to balance the idea that they are totally antagonistic and seemingly hateful of each other, but actually you have to have a sense that they do love each other, and I think they're probably more similar to each other than they might let on. Like a lot of families, the ones that clash the most are the ones that are actually a little bit similar or have the same problems. But she's an incredibly smart person. She's a brilliant improviser. She's in every frame of the movie practically. So all our jobs really was to support her. And she had a big schedule, and we filmed it during COVID. It was difficult. The schedule moved around a lot, and it was hard to get this film made. But I think now everybody falling in love with Bella and seeing her brilliant work, it's just such a great payoff.
Joe, you're absolutely no stranger to period pieces. What is it about this genre that you enjoy so much?
Yeah, Joe.
Have I done that many? I was trying to think about this because everyone says I've done a couple. I mean, I'm not particularly drawn to them. I could be drawn to any genre as long as, or any kind of script, as long as it's exciting and has got people that make you feel alive and you want to work with. Particularly in this case, and actually not just this one. I liked this was a period film, but it wasn't the kind of stuffy period film. It had a Lena Dunham stamp across it and a medieval coming of age story, in a very unique, only Lena signature, singular way. It kind of felt different. But no, I wouldn't say it's something I gravitate to. Maybe I do. Maybe
it just made such a big impact.
Maybe I do. Exactly.
No, is it do you find it more freeing as an actor to play a character that is so removed from today's world? Is that why you kind of keep going back?
No, I don't think so. I think it's pretty arbitrary. I mean, if it's a period film and it's someone that you want to work with, then I'll do it. And if you don't feel it, then you don't. And if it's something contemporary, I mean, I'd like to do more contemporary things, and I have done some as well. But I suppose, there's definitely been about three period films, I'd say now, and many more to come, guys.
We're gonna make a whole trilogy,
So, Joe, you mentioned working with Lena, and Catherine Called Birdy was such a long time passion project for her, and I was wondering, what was it like for both of you to figure out who your characters were? Andrew, I'd love to start with you.
Well, there was a kind of danger with the character that I played, that he was just like, and the early versions of the script and maybe a little bit in the novel, he was maybe a bit more brutal and very sort of beer swilling and sort of raw. So we wanted to kind of explore the idea that he was maybe suffering under this society a little bit as well, that he's not particularly macho himself, that he has a sort of taste for the finer things in life and silk and tapestries and jewelry, and he was a terrible sword fighter, and that's so that he wasn't really particularly proficient at being a man in the same way that Birdy isn't particularly proficient at being a sort of perfect young lady. So in that sense, it makes it that everybody's suffering, and one of the things that is that Lena is known for is being a feminist, but of course, like all great feminists, she's a great humanist. So it's to try and make the the male characters just a little bit more complex as well. So they're not just sort of the epitome of all evil.
Right. Yeah. There's a great levity to it as well. And I love your relationship with Birdie in the film, because, she's, looking to her parents for guidance, or just like to be her parents, but they're also, so preoccupied doing their own thing. And I think you all play off each other so well in that regard.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much.
And Joe, how about for yourself, working with Lena Dunham and figuring out who George was?
It was really interesting. It was something she was been speaking about for a while. I think she mentioned it to me in like 2018 or 2019 or something, while she was writing it. And I just thought it was first and foremost, I just thought the script was really, really beautiful and well done, and would happily have been a part of it. And with George, I liked her drawing of a character who represented something very shiny to this young girl, who underneath that was a bit more cracked than and messy and normal and human than Birdie initially kind of sees him as. I felt that was a very relatable thing for, if you're 11, 12, 13, 14, we have those characters in our lives, whether they're friends, family, neighbors, school, or whatever, people who you fancy, whatever it might be, who you kind of completely idolize. And then I like that there's a kind of heartbreaking moment when you realize they're actually just as confused and desperate and broken as anyone else. So I like that relationship.
It's wonderful, and I think that's one of the things that that Shay and I were speaking about, is that there's such like an authenticity to just their relationships with one another, and it just feels so genuine that I think for everyone, and especially with Birdie and George and Lord Rollo, that there's like this. You just believe the relationships that they have with one another, and I thought that was just so wonderful throughout this film.
Thank you. That's good.
Thanks.
Oh, no problem. As we mentioned with Lena and this setting, she has a very distinct style of comedy that I think works very well for this time and for the setting of this film. But there's also a lot of awful things in the 13th century, and I'm curious: is there anything from that era that you actually prefer to, the world of today, that you would take over from the world of today?
I'd love not having phones for a bit. That. Just the solitude of, I'm sure it'd be, drive you mad at points, and having to write a letter to get in contact with someone or send someone on a horse would drive you mad. But just, I would love a bit of not.
Yeah,
that.
just the sort of, because your world would probably still feel quite big in some way, because you don't have any comparison.
And think about, Birdie and her life and her sense of play and adventure in a world where she doesn't have a phone.
Yeah. And she's allowed to be this like independent character. And she's not worried what everybody else thinks about her too much. Maybe 3 or 4 people, but not what young people have to put up with now is the terrible thief of joy, which is comparison. And where you see so many 14-year-olds, and so many of the problems for 14-year-olds now is they compare themselves to lots of other 14-year-olds. So what the answer is to sort of, to make yourself as homogenized as possible. And actually what we want is for everybody to feel like they're as individual as possible. So yeah, I think there is something to be said for
living in the medieval times.
Living in the middle, apart from the, corporal punishment and the death at age 27.
Right. No phones, always good.
No,
yeah, no phones.
Now, Andrew, we get to see a change of heart in Lord Rollo. What do you think was the moment that kind of led to him finally seeing, I want to protect Birdie. Like, I really want to be the father that she wants.
I think he's trying to do the best. I think the just sheer grotesqueness of the person that he has chosen as her potential husband, just sheer disgust, physical and emotional disgust at how awful he is. And I think just the idea that she's actually going to go, you can talk about things in principle, but actually the idea that she might actually be leaving the house and going to that horrible fate is just a little bit too much for him to bear. Because I do think it's very important that he does. I think he absolutely adores her, but I think he's maybe a little bit intimidated by her. I think he's a little bit intimidated by his own daughter, which is maybe a bit more common than we might think.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned, you see yourself in her, and you kind of have that similar personality. It's just battling that element with yourself that you did a fantastic job with. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad we came today.
All compliments from us.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's
We're not.
it.
We won't insult you yet.
Exactly right.
Now, Andrew, for yourself, do you find yourself when you're walking down the street, people see you more as Moriarty or as the priest from Fleabag?
It's a really interesting one. It completely changes.
Like where you are, maybe?
No, I think it's maybe the vintage of the person.
Like
Maybe more women see the priest more. I don't know for whatever reason that is. And then Sherlock hasn't been on the air for
When did that come out?
Was it like
17?
The last time I was on the air? I'm trying to think. Maybe it was 6 or 7 years ago. So it's not the younger people that would see Sherlock, although they would probably be horrified to admit that. But
Well,
the ones that
loved you as Moriarty.
Oh, thank you very much.
Any chance? I know, despite what's happened, will we see you come back? Will we see Sherlock come back?
I don't know. I think the guys always say that the door is always open, for it. And I suppose it could be in the sense that none of the characters. I was going to say none of the characters died, but I died, didn't I?
Yeah. Does Moriarty ever really die?
Exactly right. Exactly. So I think the door is open. Obviously, everybody is very busy doing very different things. It was a great launch pad for so many people in that show. So
how long ago was that?
It started in 2011 or 12 maybe, and then it went on till about 2016 or 17.
17 was the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's great that they have because they were movies. There was only 3 episodes a season, and they were like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
so they've had some staying power. Of course, they've staying power because the Conan Doyle novels have lasted for hundreds of years.
So that's a yes. He'll be back.
You heard it from Joe.
Yeah, Joe, you're coming back to the series. You're going to join him as in Sherlock as well.
This is what we're cooking up.
This is what we're cooking up.
This is what today's about.
Except you have to do a period version.
Yeah, exactly. I'll come in a horse.
In that one episode where they go back in time with the
exactly.
We're going to do the exact same thing.
It's obsessed with being in period things.
Andrew, Joe, thank you both so much again for your time today. The film is great, and you are both so wonderful, and I'm sure everyone's going to love it when it releases on Prime Video. So thank you again for your time, and all the best.
You're very kind. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye now. Thanks so much.
And we're back. Daniel, that was a lot of fun. I hope we don't look too tired in that video. I think you and I had kind of snapped back into like morning wake up time at that point, so I think we looked okay, but they definitely looked phenomenal.
They did, and that's the thing, like we're coming with the charm and we're coming with the funniness, and we connect to this meeting, and you're just like, oh my goodness, here are 2 people that we admire, that we love, Joe and Andrew, again, first name basis, and we just, I think we hit it off. Again, I think we're best friends now. I think that is exactly how this works, and we are best friends.
Yeah, I believe you're absolutely right. We are best friends. I have to ask you, one of the questions that we got to ask them was, from that time period, what is something that you'd want to bring back? And they had a great answer, which you've also obviously heard, so I don't know why I'm like tiptoeing around it. But if I had to ask you, what would you say you'd want to bring back from that time period?
I think the biggest thing for me of that time period is I think we've lost just the fear of God. You know what I mean? No, I'm kidding. Not that. Let's not bring that back. No, I think there's something to be said about just, I would hope for just the peacefulness of just living your life, but also there's so much of that era that is just so awful that I don't know if I want any of it. Again, as much as I think technology could be a curse sometimes, I'm also just like, it lets us do what we're doing right now. So I don't want to lose this. But maybe just, the sprawling landscapes of not having, developments in cities and stuff like that would be nice to see, but I'd want to come back. I want to come back to the future. How about you, Shay?
I think the torture is what I want to bring forward.
The torture is a great one. Yeah.
No, I mean,
the torture and fear of God. I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah. There's really not much I'd want to bring back from that era. I don't think I'd be allowed in many places in that era as well. So that's kind of a tough thing for me. But they had diseases, like a lot of them. Like, you think COVID was bad?
A cold will kill you.
Yes.
Then, right?
Yeah, literally. Maybe like a slight knock of you probably bump your toe against something, and next thing you know, they got to kill you.
Oh, Yeah, Shay, how did Shahbaz die? Yeah, he smelt a dandelion and then he's gone now.
there was a light breeze and it killed him
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's much I'd bring back, but I did like their answer of that dependency of technology. There's moments for sure where I'm like, we're so glued to how we are, and it's scary sometimes when you think about it. But you're right also. Without technology and without that connection that we have, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing right now. And thank you to everybody for listening and watching us on your technology, because it really helps us out.
Also, what's funny too is that, like, we always have that joke when we're watching movies where it's like, oh, like they have a face that looks like they've seen what an iPhone is.
Yes.
But everyone I got to hand it to Lena Dunham and the entire cast that everyone in this film, Bella Ramsey, Joe Alwyn, Andrew Scott, and the entire cast and crew, like maybe not the crew, but the cast for sure.
The crew also was so authentic.
The crew, all wearing period armor and garbs as well too. No, they all had this look like, I believe that you existed in this time period.
Yes.
And it's such a silly thing, and it's such an old school just like looks thing. But there are some people that just have this, that just transcend time, and obviously having a British accent helps, or an Irish accent, but like it just like they looked like they were of that era. And I think this movie is a lot of fun, like you said, Shay. I think Bella Ramsey is so damn good in it. We just got our first full trailer for The Last of Us as well, and she is going to absolutely destroy as Ellie. She is fantastic.
Yeah, I think
as are Andrew and Joe.
Oh yeah, they're phenomenal too. But I think you're right. Like Bella Ramsey just completely is so captivating in this movie. She's so funny.
Yeah.
There's when you go into movies that are period pieces or movies that really take place in that time of era, it's like, okay, how can I watch this? How can I relate to this? What can I do?
Right.
And I think what's nice about this film is it feels updated enough to kind of keep you on board with what's kind of going on.
Yeah.
So I had a good time.
And the modern music as well too, which is
the modern music.
We were seeing
always
that
helps.
We're seeing that in a lot of adaptations now, which is fun. Like, Bridgerton does it. Emma is another film that just came out recently. That Joey King, the Princess one, did it as well too.
Right.
So like it's cool seeing like that mesh of like, here is music out of this era. Even Elvis, Elvis Baz Luhrmann did it with Gatsby. Like we're seeing these fusions of these new ways of telling these stories, so it doesn't just feel like a drab. Just this is the 1300s, and this is what it is. It's like, no, let's inject some life into this, and I think that's what this movie does really well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And again, like you mentioned, Andrew and Scott are phenomenal, and they were such a blast to talk to. I hope they talk about this interview for the rest of their lives, to be honest with you.
I think so. Again, first name basis. Andrew and Joe, I think they're going to remember us. And the next, they were here for TIFF as well, so next time we get to talk to them, we'll be like, hey guys, you remember us? And they'll be like, oh yes, the podcast.
Oh
folks.
yes,
They'll
you
like
folks. I thought you were going to be on. I'm going to stop doing the accent, but okay, I want to give
more of a Cockney accent. You're doing Dick Van Dyke.
a little bit of DVD, But of course, I want to give a huge shout out to Prime Video. Thank you so much for allowing us to obviously watch the movie and also talk to these fine gentlemen this early in the morning. We absolutely loved it. It was our first time doing a UK press junket, and honestly, it was a blast. The way they do things is very different. They even said they were going to mail us some tea. I don't know what that was about. I mean,
it's very dangerous. They said they were going to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But again, that was our interview with Andrew Scott and Joe Alwyn. Of course, this is the Movie Podcast. You can catch us on LinkedIn. You can catch us on Twitter. You can catch us on Instagram. What else? TikTok.
It's funny
Instagram?
It's funny you leaded with LinkedIn.
Yeah, I don't know why I led with LinkedIn.
Hey guys, follow us on LinkedIn.
I think I saw an email come in from LinkedIn, and that was like the first thing that kind of came to my head. But we're on there, man.
Connect with us on LinkedIn.
We're professional. Sure. Connect with us.
Why
not? And of course, we're on YouTube, because if you're seeing our face right now, it's most likely on YouTube, or you pirated this video and you're watching it on a DVD somewhere, which is kind of weird. I don't know why you did that. So
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, why didn't you do that? But again, this is spooky season. We're starting it off pretty cool with some interviews, and it'll get scarier and scarier. I promise you, by the end of this month of October, you will be so scared to listen to the Movie Podcast, you may never listen again, which is a horrible thing. So don't do that. Keep listening to us, because we love when you listen. We love when you give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. We love when you give us 5 stars on Spotify. Leave us a comment, write into us. Join our Discord. We're having a great time on there as well. So that was this time with the Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.